Fall Guys had one mission: to be the only game on the planet with more color saturation than Fortnite. But how did they come so far? How is it so successful? And is it true that all wolf skins are played exclusively by 5-year-olds wearing Mr. Breast youth clothing?
She's not deaf. Watch this. Ellie. 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 Ellie.
All will be answered as soon as I win this round of Hexagon.
You won.
No.
You didn't win?
Fall Guys was developed by Mediatonic, a British video game company. They made mostly web browser games of pre-existing franchises like SpongeBob and The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Tears in rain.
Hey, you remember Fable? They didn't make that, but a digital card game spin-off. It had a very mediocre reception, as most people wanted a mainline entry.
I'm gonna have a panic attack.
Hey, remember Gears of War?
We wouldn't be trading it with you cog assholes. Ooh. I'll give you a side of bacon for her, though.
Oh, bacon.
They didn't make that either, but a Funko Pop spin-off for mobile that died off so quickly, it's now played exclusively by Spanish people.
Ya a falta de 11 segundos, miren, le tenemos dos DR1s aquí.
Welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family.
It was founded by Dave Bailey and Paul Croft while they were at a university over one too many drinks, and probably went something like this. Paul? Yes, Dave. How do we end world famine and hunger across the planet? Video games? Video games. And they shook hands, installed Dark Souls 2, and started pointing down at everyone. Now, Mediatonic isn't actually the main company, but a subsidiary owned by Tonic Games. But they're easily the most prominent out of all the companies under their wing. But Paul and Dave weren't the brainchildren behind Fall Guys. It was this guy, because he came up with the title.
So who came up with Fall Guys then? That'd be me. Ah, you see?
There was also this guy called Joe, who apparently came up with the entire concept and gameplay, but, you know, who cares?
Joe nuts.
Joe pitched the idea of a game that played like Takeshi's Castle, a Japanese game show where people risk their lives for a 1 million yen cash prize. And the similarities are stunningly obvious. How much is 1 million yen anyway? Oh, Jesus Christ, that wouldn't even cover the hospital bill.
Oi, mate, you got a couple of quid for the bus.
The closest thing we had to that in the UK was Total Wipeout, which, like most things, we stole directly from America. The cash prize was slightly better than Takeshi's Castle, and when people suffered fractures, we added funny sound effects on top of it. But Mediatonic were too small for such an ambitious project. The game had a battle royale system where only one could survive, and the market for that is like zombies in the 2010s. Complete global saturation. And even though the game wasn't really as gritty as its contemporaries,
Man, give me your jacket, please.
it still needed some financial support, so they had 3 viable options: donations, religion, or a publisher. Enter Devolver Digital, who had more than enough equity to support Mediatonic's new IP. Before being picked up by Devolver, they pitched to about 10 different publishers at GDC 2018, and went something like this. Thank you all for coming. Your money is definitely important to us. We have a brand new idea that no one has ever thought of before. It'll be groundbreaking or inspiring, and it'll all be based on a totally original concept of Battle Royale. I'm sure they're just going to the toilet. So basically, you play as jelly bean people, competing in an obstacle course. We don't have any concept art at the minute, but look at this drawing my niece did. I think it's fairly accurate. So basically, guys, come on. It'll have microtransactions. It'll be a smash hit. No one will understand my burning passion to create a niche childhood game show into a video game. Wait, what's that? Is that Devolver Digital? You publish mostly indie games, right? You're like A24, but for video games. Money shekels. Well, my game isn't a slow burn app. I can't believe I wrote that in the script. Well, my game isn't slow burning, atmospheric, or bone chilling, but it could make us a lot of money. money. Then let us shake hands and agree to milk Battle Royale just a little bit longer. So Devolver gave them a ton of money, and who's really surprised? Like, have you seen their game conferences?
That some of you may have seen on the socials via hilariously violent GIFs from developer Dead Toast.
Pronounce it GIFs.
Pardon me?
Yeah, GIFs.
Development started 6 months later. Firstly, designing the actual characters, making them look less like Funko Pops.
I got some jelly beans.
And making the design more streamlined. Where is emotion conveyed the most? Ears? Nah, let's get rid of that. Mouth? No. British teeth would never work. I got it. It's the eyes. Originally, they based the body shape off a Yeti vinyl.
Himalayas!
While also taking inspiration from the game show It's a Knockout, where people would dress up in stupid costumes. The Fall Guys emulate this by each one by default looking like they wear a skin suit. Honestly, to me, they always look like Team Buddies. It was this game on the PS1. Only 90s kids will get this.
Oh, nice one. I've never seen anything like that before, have you?
But they also had some more questionable business practices.
The other things we did were a bit more practical. Like, we thought we had to really get into the head of a Fall Guy.
They started off with a fairly small team of just a few people, but as the game got bigger, so did the team, growing to 30 people. Not much for a AAA studio, but these guys were small time, and they knew that they had to make something special. But then, something strange happened. Fall Guys just, it got released? Yeah, usually games are hyped up for a release, you know, with a huge marketing campaign and long, unskippable ads on YouTube. But Mediatonic and Devolver agreed to drop the game quietly on Steam and PS4 and slowly build up hype from there.
Can you talk about that from your perspective? What kind of launch day was like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we launched the game kind of gradually was the plan, in that we would kind of silently release on Steam and silently release on PlayStation and not mention it, and hope that we could get this gradual ramp of people playing. And obviously that didn't happen, and as soon as the cat was out the bag, people just hammered the servers, you know.
But player numbers blew up overnight, with over 1 million players in the first 24 hours alone. Nearly 150,000 tried to play the game just 2 hours before it was released, completely tanking the servers. The game was a success, and Mediatonic celebrated the only way they knew how. But how did Fall Guys get so successful? Well, it's nothing to do with luck, but actually really genius marketing. Rule 1 of anything: if you want it to be successful, make it feel exclusive. You don't want something the rest of the unwashed masses can get their hands on. Give me that! If they just released the game, there'd be no hype, and they needed a way to show it off and entice the Zoomers to download the game. So they got on their knees and prayed to the heavens for divine intervention. And finally, the streamers answered.
Do you not see what is happening? I'm going insane!
I mean, to be fair, streamers were perfect. It's kind of like watching a YouTube video, but there's no actual editing, and you're there live watching your favorite e-celeb freak out, cry in joy.
Let's go!
Or just eating a nice warm meal. By giving beta keys to top streamers, they could advertise the game while also giving keys away on stream, so people could get early access into the game themselves. Everyone got involved, all your favorite streamers. Even Chuck E. Cheese joined in on the fun. There was a face cam, but no mic, so half of the time you just had this rat staring at you, ominously.
All you have is your hatred.
Even women got involved in the Fall Guys craze.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What? Are you kidding me?
Valorant was one of the first games to perfect this system. Hundreds of thousands would tune into streamers they didn't care about, just in hopes to get access to play the cool shooty game no one else could play.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Now, Mediatonic didn't have the pull that Valorant's Riot Games did. They would have Twitch users link their account to get a key, so instead they just periodically hand out keys on stream. They eventually started moving key giveaways to Twitter in incredibly wholesome ways, including dabs and emojis. And this was a symbiotic relationship, with Fall Guys gaining more popularity from its exclusivity. More people tuned into Twitch in hopes to get access to the game.
I'm gonna stop showing your usernames so you get less attention, because you guys obviously can't handle it.
So Twitch in turn would promote Fall Guys, and seeing a brand new game climbing in views would get everyone to take interest. This also had a side effect of streamers being sniped a lot more than usual, as they were the main reason anyone had access to the game.
Help!
20,000, 50,000, and even 200,000 viewers, all because the game wasn't publicly available yet. Even at one point, overtaking GTA, League of Legends, and Fortnite. Only just chatting could outstand the onslaught.
I doubt
You could even imagine it. The just chatting. Oh, just chatting. Look up at the sky. It burns. Steam had so many pre-orders, they featured the game on the front page, becoming the #6 top seller despite not even being released yet. Apart from the tactical marketing, it was released at a very good time. Quarantine is being eased up in most countries, but many people are still stuck at home furloughed with a lot of spare time. On top of that, people are becoming more and more lethargic of Battle Royale games.
I won!
And even though Fall Guys is that genre, it's different enough to have an incredibly low skill entry compared to its contemporaries that are mostly full of greasers because the skill ceiling is so high. And the icing on the cake, it was totally free for PlayStation Plus users.
This is only £5. So nice, such a bargain.
Becoming the most downloaded PS Plus title ever. People just couldn't get enough of these cute little jelly beans. But by so many people joining in, the servers couldn't take it, and constant crashing led to people review bombing the game, which made the devs release a statement.
We're currently being review bombed on Steam. That's not very nice. Stop it, guys. That's cringe.
And on August 4th, the game was launched with a flashy trailer of a naked bean buying cosmetics to get better at the game.
Balenciaga mids, Revenge hoodie, BB 200.
Absolutely disgusting. It was a dark day for anyone with a Switch and Xbox. It might even come out on mobile before either. A Chinese game company, Bilibili, secured the rights to a mobile version. Here's some exclusive gameplay. But the question remains, how is the actual game?
You act like a bitch, I'll slap you like a bitch.
I don't even know how I got it, my passport doesn't even work properly.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. The beginning round of any Alright. The beginning round of come on. Alright, I'm just gonna reset my router, alright? Give me a second. Ad moment.
Hello there.
Dude, what are you doing?
Nothing, friend. But have you heard of the amazing product that is Displate?
No.
Wait, where are you going? Displate allows you to put up premium posters quick and easy for any favourite media.
Yes, Red keeps following me everywhere. I think he's trying to trap me.
I did nothing of the sort, you disgusting accuser. I simply wanted to say, Displate has over 1 million designs. Here's some I mounted up on my wall. They're incredibly easy to set up. Just put on a flat surface and attach them with no drilling needed. They're also magnetic, so you can easily swap them out for any other design. They also have over 40,000 artists who submit their work to be featured. They're versatile and can be set up anywhere. In the bedroom, in the shower, even sleeping right next to you.
Oh yeah, red sauce bro.
What are you, 12? This is an ad read, you moron. I didn't even kill anyone.
I saw a body in electrical and there was a displayed poster of the Joker next to it.
Well, that could be anyone's display. I mean, we all clicked the link in the description for 32% off our first order, with 37% off 3 or more orders. Right, guys? I mean, it's a steal, if anything. Bruh. Red may be gone, but you know what's still here? Trees. But not for long, thanks to Mr. Breast, who planted 20 million trees, only to rip them back up to use as merch for his fans. But Displate can help. With every purchase that's 100% recyclable, trees are planted to help support our planet just long enough so someone in Japan actually buys an Xbox. Again, click the link in description for big epic savings on cool looking posters. Look, they even have a big Chungus poster. Ad over. Right, I put the router back on. Did it work? Anyway, the beginning round of each game tries to cull about 1/3 of the 60 players. Didn't make it to the end? Too bad, kid. Cry some more and try again. These levels rely on people colliding the most, and physics are a huge part of this game. With so many characters being forced into choke points, it's almost inevitable that someone is going to fall over, losing precious seconds. Hilarious when it happens to someone else, but horrible when it happens to you. And that's the point. And each Fall Guy is purposely built like a manlet, having incredibly small feet but huge arms from the gym to try and compensate for their pathetic height.
Little baby man.
The closest thing I can relate to the physics is like being too drunk in GTA or Red Dead. You stumble around, barely able to stand, and a passing gust of wind can knock you down, giving you several $1,000s worth of hospital bills. DoorDash is probably the biggest offender here. Copying the door game from Takeshi's Castle, you have to guess which door is real and which is fake. If you guess right, you have a rather large problem, because you're at the front of the pack and the horde is watching you with eagle eyes, waiting for you to try the next door, putting no effort in and just copying you.
You absolute leech!
And if you're part of the horde, the doors simply aren't wide enough to fit everyone through. So there's a 50-50 chance you make it through, or you're body blocked and you ragdoll so much, you don't even see the finish line. And when you make it through the final door, you feel like a Spartan being shot with a hail of arrows. Because as you land, you can see the shadow of every person above you, praying that one of them doesn't accidentally crush you, delaying you even more. By the way, the final 3 rows of doors, you're able to tell which ones are real because the triangles are slightly smaller, but you didn't hear that from me. Whirligig is another heavy base physics level, but this one actually has an advantage. Get hit by a pipe at the right angle and you can be launched ahead of the rest. There's also a huge risk and reward on this map, with the windmill in the center moving at a very fast speed. Too quick for you to be able to safely move through, but if you nail it, you shave several seconds off instead of going around. You know what? Why even bother? A hacker just joined the game and is moving at 500 kilometers a second to the finish line. Hacking is actually a huge problem with the game at the minute, especially on PC. Experts believe there is a direct correlation between using hacks and male pattern baldness. It's so prevalent because at the time of recording, there's no custom names, making it almost impossible to tell who's who. So there's no way you can track down someone's Steam profile and report them for some updates.
Yeah, I banned him.
They do have a reporting system, but it's on an external website, so chances of you filing a successful report are even slimmer. Some cheaters directly try to sabotage people's games, using physics-based levels against the players. Most people would leave the game when they see someone beat a level in 0.5 seconds, and if no one's watching them cheat the game, why bother? It might even lead them to self-reflect. So the hackers got clever, playing the game completely legit and only turning on hacks in the finale. Some even being sneaky enough to only have a slight speed boost, so it's not too obvious. Oh, hacker? No, never mind.
Yeah, he's hacking, but it's very subtle.
Yeah.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious bubble.
Jesus, that was so obvious.
What did I tell you?
And some brave souls are sabotaging their own games just so the hacker has no chance of winning, calling themselves Fall Guy Enforcers. They're apparently aware how bad hacking is and are updating their anti-cheat, and I just love how they had to make a comparison to Fortnite because that's the only other game the 7-year-olds know about. I imagine when they beef up the anti-cheat, you're going to have a lot of irate fathers messaging Mediatonic to unban their son.
We banned your son for cheating on Fall Guys.
That was between me and my son.
We have video proof of him using
He wasn't dirty! God damn you! You get that through your head! My son wasn't dirty!
The early levels can vary massively on how punishing a mistake is. Some of them require you to try the obstacle again on failure, while others seemingly have no downsides and could even be quicker than trying to compete with the horde. Some of the earlier levels require what I call selfish teamwork. Copyrighted, trademarked, licensed by Tencent. I call it that because you can shave several seconds off by cooperating, but the problem is you're not shaving time off, but people qualifying. You could help a group of people, but that's a group that you're going to have to compete with to get to the finish line. A great example of this is Seesaw. The map has platforms that shift depending on how many Fall Guys are on each side. Get ahead of the pack, and it's probably the easiest level in the game. But that's the 1%. So most of the time, you're competing for balance with the majority. Too many people on one side, and the platform, probably coated in lard, slides everyone off. This truly says a lot about our society. So you have this weird relationship where people will try to balance out the platform, knowing if someone doesn't contribute, everyone will fall off. Noble warriors will understand and try to keep balance, while the underages take advantage and use your goodwill just to get ahead. This map really requires you to follow the group. If you divert, you'll be stuck waiting for a platform to reset that you have no control over. Yeah, it's a good concept. Gold sticker from me. Now, your Fall Guy isn't completely defenseless. Being able to jump, dive, and combining the two are incredibly helpful, especially when you need to interact with a physics-based object. Jumping while moving on a downward slope lets you bunny hop, getting ahead of the pack. Diving is incredibly overpowered, ignoring any sense of force or gravity. You could be falling off an edge and be completely saved by a dive, pushing you back onto the map. You can also hold onto ledges to pull yourself up. Originally, it had some unintended side effects. People ended up using this to cheese some of the levels, hanging onto a ledge, which was later patched. Which is ironic, because that's exactly how the Fall Guy wins in the launch trailer. Hold on a minute. Is that the guy from the trailer? You are the parasite killing this game with your hyper-aggression. But there's one thing every single Fall Guy excels at. The grab. By sticking your steroid-ridden arms out, players can grab onto physics objects, but more importantly, other players.
He wasn't dirty.
Most of the time, totally pointless, as when you grab someone, you come to a complete standstill as well. So if you try to grab someone during a race, you're only slowing yourself down too. And if they grab you back, you can only escape if one of you stops. So people got clever. Pickle Rick! Grab someone while they make a jump, and you'll kill their airtime so they'll fall off the map. If you grab someone and let go instantly, you'll only have a minor slowdown while the guy grabbed comes to a complete standstill. Even worse, grab them on a slippery surface, and there's a chance they'll have a huge knockback, either knocking them into a physics object or off the map entirely. You can even use your whole body as a weapon. Slime Climb, dubbed the best level currently in the game, don't at me, has incredibly narrow tubes where some players stand to body block people from passing. But what became a rare funny occurrence is now every single game, as people post their epic trolling montage to Reddit. No! One of the most rewarding things you can do is pull someone off that's body blocking. More on Slime Climb, it's an amazing map. You have to climb vertically to the end goal. There's no timer, but a sea of slime rises constantly, reminding me of sudden death in other video games. It's something really nostalgic. There's loads of ways to shave seconds off this map, especially with jump diving. Ironically, these routes, as the games got more popular, get blocked by hordes of children, probably watching a top 10 epic ways to win Fall Guys, 100% guaranteed. It's a map that perfectly juggles risk and reward. I'd love to see more maps like this in the future. An ocean of slime rising is way better than a funny clock in the corner counting down. Come on, man, if I wanted to play a game with a countdown, I'd play Bleach the Time Sweeper. Nah, they'll both make it. They'll both make it. Oh, I'm done! Out in the pineapple! I'm done. Now, your Fall Guy being a physical presence in the game can have its downsides. Apart from being crushed by the masses, some maps, especially Tiptoe, use your own body against you. Here, you have to discover a path to the end of the level. There's usually no way to bait the platforms either. Once you make contact with one, it vanishes, so you have to sacrifice yourself in order to find out if the path works or not. The problem is, no one wants to make the sacrifice mid-game, because if you fall off, someone could find the end route, meaning you get booted out. So you have this awkward cluster of people grabbing and pushing each other to force someone onto a new tile to see if it's the right one. Oh, what's that? You took the role of point man and found a whole row of tiles we can use? Congratulations! Your reward is now everyone grabbing you and only you, because it's your responsibility to get us to the next level. What's that? You held onto your tile? Well, here's a random JPEG of a gust of wind for no reason, and it knocked you off at about 75 miles an hour. Fruit Shoot is another good physics-based map, and can either be your longest or shortest, depending on RNG. You're on a treadmill and have to reach the end while having a barrage of fruit thrown at you. Exercising and healthy eating is a huge demand on the Western world, so many perish before reaching the end. It's actually funny, like, there's a couple of videos on YouTube trying to give a strategy to this level, like it has any use whatsoever. Look, dude, you're having random fruit thrown at you. There's no technique here. Honestly, just stick to the sides if you can. You avoid most of the fruit and the rolling log, which is apparently a fruit, according to Great Britain, where Mediatonic is based. Use the funny triangles for cover and you should be alright. But what if you don't like reaching a goal? Well, Fall Guys has got you covered, featuring survival modes too.
Oh my god!
Zombies.
Jump Club, that pretty much is a one-to-one recreation of that game mode from Total Wipeout. This one's fun and incredibly easy. The problem is when one person gets caught and forms a huge domino knocking out loads of people. Rollout is similar, trying not to slide off a constantly moving platform. Please don't grab me. Block Party is the same, only the platform is stationary and the objects come towards you. Just make sure not to get caught on one, because if so much as your little toe gets stuck, you'll be dragged off with no chance of recovery. There was also an exploit where people could jump on the sides and ignore the entire challenge, but that was quickly patched. Thankfully. One of my favorites is Perfect Match. Fruits are displayed on tiles in sequence, then on a screen, and you have to stand on the correct tile. The uneducated will, of course, follow the masses. The chads will draw the map on MS Paint on a second monitor. What's great is that you can actually bait people into going on the wrong square by standing still and asserting your dominance. Then, at the last second, jumping to the correct tile. The result is the player count being halved and many broken RGB keyboards.
You want a copy? It is what it is.
And if you make it with all your blood, sweat, and caffeinated lead gamer powder drink of your choice, you might just have a chance at one of the game's 4 finales.
Boo! You stink!
Jump Showdown, exactly the same as Jump Club, except this time the pipes are gold, and the platforms start to collapse as the game goes on. This mode can last 5 minutes or 50, depending how sweaty people are. Originally, I thought the last couple platforms are always connected, but they can actually be on opposite sides. So some matches can be total RNG, because you have to pick the right platform to stay on, not knowing if the branch you picked is correct or not.
Oh no.
Also, this one was temporarily removed because everyone kept hanging on the edge to be the last person standing.
It's like the closest to me. Like,
he's trying to cut you off. Run back to me, run back to me.
Oh, you...
let him have it, let him have it.
In Royal Fumble, there's only one tail, and you have to be the last person to have it before the timer ends. This mode is alright. I mean, it's literally impossible to catch one person on your own unless they fall over about 20 times. So you have to work with the group to try and grab the tail, which usually leads to a giant orgy of people grabbing each other until someone escapes. But wait, I just grabbed that guy and nothing happened. And when I have the tail, someone 20 meters away managed to grab it off me? I really don't like this.
Know your place.
It's tied to lag compensation, but it feels like you have to put in double the effort everyone else does just to win. What do you mean I got eliminated? What? The only thing I can compare it to is early Call of Duty kill cams, where it would show a guy just snapping his gun towards you with laser accuracy. That's because kill cams are a simulation, not an actual live recording. The more you know. Fall Mountain, or as I like to call it, RNG Mountain, you have to race to the top to grab a physical crown. RNG because you can start at the front or at the very back with absolutely no control. And more players in the finale means more bodies, meaning more physics. You could be tailing someone, and when they get knocked down, they knock you down in the process. When you win this mode, it feels amazing, but when you lose, sometimes you feel like you've just spent 20 minutes of your own time just to lose on a dice roll. I'm killing myself. I'm killing myself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, can you please make some noise for easily the best finale in Fall Guys, Hexagon.
Why did it?
So
this is one of my life! You suck! You suck so much!
Tiles of hexagons vanish as soon as you touch them. It still has a fair amount of RNG, but still has the most amount of strategy and experimentation out of all the finales.
They are hiding strategic value to Fall Mountain.
I invented them. Let's see what you've got for us. We're in.
You can try to cut off other players, forcing them down sooner, or even drop to the very bottom floor and make a giant hole for others to fall into. Some of my best experiences have came from this map. Just the pure pandemonium when someone drops to your floor and starts eating away at your tiles. It's great. I mentioned this in my Far Cry 3 video a couple months ago. Games are usually at their best when they're not scripted and stuff goes wrong unintentionally.
And he's still not moving, as you can see.
And this is easily the best example of that in a Fall Guys map. But, as fun as Fall Guys is, it does have its problems. Die! 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 Like most games, it's those pesky bugs. In Fall Mountain, you need to physically grab the crown to win, but some players would climb on it instead.
Yes! I won! Yes! Fuck's a game! Yes!
This was quickly patched and led the devs to mock players who thought you just had to touch the crown to win. It was also possible to get knocked out the map entirely. I even had a few instances where I'd get eliminated from the game by doing nothing wrong.
Leave this garbage. Now we gotta leave.
I'm done. I'm done. Having VSync on can cause your guy to ragdoll like a Gmod prop. Landing exactly between two tiles and hexagon means you could fall right through the floor. Even our sacred achievements aren't safe. Infallible requires you to win 5 whole games in a row, and obviously, unless you're a demigod sweat,
And you gotta have this!
it's quite challenging. There are even people selling accounts upwards of $100 just for the achievement, and people are actually buying it. But by leaving the game just before you get eliminated, your progress doesn't reset.
El narrador se ha cerrado inesperadamente. Si esto no se espera.
Having a bad game, just quit to the menu and you can try again. But why cheat if Neil Druckmann, director of Last of Us 2, can do it?
What are you pointing? What are you doing?
Surely anyone can.
Let me go!
You just come after her.
I could just imagine, like, Neil Druckmann in his office, like, what do you mean Fall Guys sold double the amount of copies? So what if it's free on PS Plus? Everyone should be buying my game! Moving away from bugs, do you guys like teamwork? Well, Fall Guys has team modes, and it's, not great. The problem is, being put in a team is totally random. So, you could be on a winning streak and have it ruined because you got paired with every 7-year-old in the game. I understand why they need team games. If they didn't, the Hyper Sweats would just win all the solo games. But there needs to be a balance. There's always 3 teams. Red, blue, and yellow. Let's just say, yellow team gets the short end of the stick. There's a lot of memes against yellow, mostly propelled by the Twitter account run by a 30-year-old man pretending to be 24. He used to be a YouTuber who made tutorials on how to draw the Doge meme, but now he manages the Fall Guys official Twitter account.
Hi, I'm Oliver, age 24, and today I'm going to be showing you how to draw the most popular guy on MySpace, Doge. Now, let's take a look at how my previous student, Tantadar, got along with this tutorial. Wow. That is literally the worst thing I have ever seen in my life.
Two-way teams are much more manageable. Fall ball plays much like a normal football match, constant cheating, and a good English crowd to support the game. The only problem is, you can have odd-numbered teams, so one team can have more players than the other, so that's a whole extra player adding pressure to score goals. They tried to spice it up by changing the ball types and even a golden egg that's worth 5 points instead of 1, but it's just not enough. Teams should always be even, or at least have some kind of deep learning algorithm to make sure the extra player has the lowest IQ or highest latency possible. Ooh, wholesome moment.
Oh, that's a good one.
By the way, kudos to the people that rage quit as soon as they know they have no chance of winning. You will be missed.
Yeah, I'm pushing it in.
Holding them is actually so good.
Hello.
I'm done. Now, Jinx is probably the only actually fun team game.
Why bother?
One person on each team begins infected with an unnamed illness and has to spread it to the other team before they lose. Cowards tend to hide in the corner, but real men purposely get themselves infected to spread it as much as possible. The thing is, you can't actually get infected until someone infected grabs you. So for extra points, you can grab the first infected person yourself, slowing them down from getting to your team.
But it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
My favorite thing about this mode is how much of a mass culling there is to player numbers, with half the game being booted out after the round's over. Back to three-way team games. The reason why I don't like them is because only one team has to lose. So what ends up happening is 2 teams will come together just to screw over the team that's in last place. Egg Scramble, easily the worst team game ever created, is the best example of this. People have to get eggs into their goal and keep them there until the time expires. All the eggs will be taken in the first 30 seconds, which forces people to raid other people's goals to take eggs for themselves. And it's usually not worth the hassle, with team members camping singular eggs and others gatekeeping, making sure that no one gets in or out. Also, if a gold egg manages to get outside the goal, there'll be about 10 people fighting for it. It's a lost cause. Don't be one of those people. So 2 teams will come together to raid a single team's eggs. And 2 teams against 1, well, they never stand a chance. This is a reoccurring problem with most team games, where you have to keep hold of an object, as you could be targeted, especially if you're yellow team, because you'll be targeted because of a meme. Semi-sarcastically, the devs even imply that they're going to delete the yellow team entirely. Team tail tag is another offender. Apart from the tail grabbing problem of being yoinked from a different continent, it's amazing how little input you actually have. If you begin without a tail, go AFK until the last 20 seconds, jump an unsuspecting player, and you'll win by basically doing nothing. Or lose anyway because it's a team game and you're at about 10% of the input you usually have. At least with Egg Scramble, you can collect and try to store eggs, but yeah, you've got 1 tail and you can't have any more input than that. I'd say you could coordinate grabbing players so other people on your team could take tails, but without voice chat, that's not going to happen. And trust me, this game is not getting voice chat.
I'm a pussy that use my shield.
Now, Fall Guys has a lot of character, a lot of customization. You can get skins for free by progressing through the tiers. Quick rundown on that. People that pre-ordered the game on Steam got a questionable Gordon Freeman skin.
Soy boys, these pathetic beta males, just look how weak they are. Weaklings, pathetic.
Also Alex as well, if you like playing as Alex. The game also has DLC skins of various American delicacies.
Welcome home. I'm going to show you how to make the most amazing burger. And for me, the secret of burger is in the blend. So we've got chuck, we've got the most amazing ground beef, and a little bit of brisket. First things first.
Playing as the fries, your chance of being grabbed goes up 5,000% as children mistake you for actual food. The game had such a buggy launch, everyone by default was given a free furry skin, which was secretly used as a failsafe to tell if anyone had just installed the game. So you quickly start to notice that wolf skins are the most grabby and get in the way. Mostly because it's probably a 5-year-old that just installed the game thinking it was another Fortnite Marshmallow DLC. Pigeon skins are the second most popular skin, so these people have at least a few hours on the game. So they'll be a little bit older mentally and probably have some sort of hack installed. But why have skins everyone else unlocks? What we really want is exclusivity, and that can be found in the item store. The shop works a lot like most microtransaction stores, rotation of skins and emotes every couple days, and kudos, the game's freemium currency is easily purchasable.
He went into mom's purse and stole the credit card and bought
kudos.
Oh, God. Parents out there. Can you relate to this? Can you relate to this?
But what gamers really want is crowns. If you get that fat W and be the last person standing, you'll get a single crown. A unique currency you can't buy anywhere else to get the most exclusive skins.
I just want one crown. No, not one
crown.
Look at that. They just added a Joe Biden skin for Fall Guys with its own emote, so you better get grinding.
Does he have some type of dementia?
I think it's a genius idea, honestly. Both gameplay and marketing, because the main goal is to get crowns, to get exclusive skins to show off to others. And by having a currency you can't outright buy, it keeps you coming back for each new skin drop.
I need it!
But there's a problem. An unstoppable force that can't be contained.
Got something that might interest you.
Quirky brands. With the popularity of Fall Guys skyrocketing, brands from all over reached out to Mediatonic and Devolver, begging them to add their own skins into the game, thinking that they can tap into the Zoomer audience. It all started with Walmart Gaming. Yes, that's a real account. And they did a mock-up skin of an employee uniform. Then KFC Gaming joined in, like... Seriously, what's with all these corporations thinking they can branch out into gaming? G Fuel wanted to pitch their character, knowing their main consumer base sweated the game religiously. But Fall Guys had had enough. We see your semi-sarcastic tweets. We know you all want in on our game. So we give you a proposition. Whoever has the highest bid after 2 weeks will get their skin officially added into Fall Guys. And all the money goes to the special effect charity.
A most generous offer. God bless you.
Again, this was another masterstroke for marketing. They don't need the money. They're rolling in it with the item store. But there's one thing money can't buy, and that's clout, which this bidding war will bring them by the ton. The first brand to officially bid, Cooler Master with 212 euros and a gif of David Bowie. This brought everyone with equity out of the dungeons. Not just brands, but game companies. Rivals of Aether donated $10,000. That's cute. Then Warframe with $20,000. E-celebs with too much money to spend in one lifetime, having their egos tilted, began donating money as probably the biggest tax write-off of 2020.
Woo! There is a lot of gold in here. Sure, take what you can carry.
Sidemen donated $40,000, only to be beaten by a single cent by Tushy, which, to be fair, had the best skin concept out there, let's be fair.
You're probably asking, what is Tushy? Tushy is a simple, sleek, modern bidet attachment that'll wash your crusty crap cannon after you drop a few dose ickies.
And this led to Ninja, everyone's favourite mixer streamer, to donate the funny weed and sex number, who teamed up with AimLab, a service which helps French people improve their aim so they can sweat even more in FPS games.
I'm sweating. I'm actually sweating. My armpits are wet.
Which was instantly crushed by Tushy, who donated the same amount but with an extra 69 cents. Days passed, with each brand and e-celeb knowing if they could get their skin into the game, they could tap into the younger generation. The 31st of August rolls around, the last day of bidding. With only 2 hours, FGTV were the highest bidders, with $510,000.
I increased the bid to 510K. Ready? And tweet!
They're a wholesome YouTube channel where a man plays with his wife's son with some incredibly attention deficit editing. And their skin, it looks like the Nostalgia Critic.
We get our own Fall Guys skin in the game. And 3, we show the whole world that FGTV is a force to be reckoned with, baby!
But then, out of the depths, came YouTubers Mr. Breast.
You can be motivated by more than one thing. I'm motivated because I want to support my mom and my family. I'm motivated because I want to train my friends and help them. I'm motivated because I want to help other people. I feel like that's another misconception. You can have lots of things that drive you. You know?
Absolutely.
What
is Crohn's disease?
Tyler Fortnite Ninja Blevins.
Extreme sniping.
G2 Esports and AimLab together for $1 million in the last minute of the bid.
4 dudes ganging up on one dude. That's like a little tiny guy trying to hop over a fence.
Bruh. And there we have it. 4 more skins being added into the game. Yet another furry skin.
That is really cool. It's literally a fox.
No.
A really muscular fox.
No.
It even has the tail, and it wags around.
A ninja. A samurai.
I'm Gabe Newell.
And a bubonic plague sufferer.
Dettol protects. Fact.
Now, I don't have enough money to bid this much, but come on guys, look how great this character design is. It screams 2010 DeviantArt. How could you not add it into the game? But what's behind the Fall Guy? Under the skin? Well, on September 23rd, our questions were answered when the Fall Guy's Twitter account put out concept art, and trigger warning, it's not very pretty. It's a success, becoming the second most popular tweet on their Twitter account. The marketing team did it again. Take that, Among Us. Also, they're 6 feet in height, so there's a chance that you are actually smaller than a Fall Guy. Of course, they tried to correct this later to get wholesome points, but the damage was already done. 5-year-olds across the world would no longer play the funny Fall game until they added Travis Scott. With Fall Guys Season 2 just around the corner, the game can only get better.
In Season 2, you'll be dressing your Fall Guy as a medieval hero and competing across brand new rounds inspired by epic quests from the Middle Ages.
Thank you all for watching. This video was sponsored by the People's Republic of China.
你们的蟹变淡，你们会在空中的中国军队面看似的眼人。
Oh, thanks for boosting me first, buddy! Thanks for boosting me first place, buddy!